Hi, I would like to introduce the Stuv Compact 30 stove by Belgian manufacturer Stuv. This is a very unique stove that we're displaying here at the stove yard. The unique features of this stove is that it can be run as an open fire, which I'm going to light it as an open fire. It can be run as a standard glass fronted stove, and it also has a third setting which is for overnight burn, which you'll see throughout this demonstration. First of all, I'm just going to light the stove. I've got kiln dried sticks in the stove, and I'm using a burner fire starter fire lighter. So if we just light this up. And we'll put this in. After I've lit the stove, with all stoves we want to try and get the firebox as hot as possible, as quickly as possible. So that's the reason why it's a good idea to use quite a lot of quite dry kindling. I've got a couple of smaller sticks here which I'm just going to put in front of the fire here. As I said, we've got it in the open fire mode here, so I don't need to open the door. I can just put my hand straight in through the front of it. But we'll get the open fire going, and we'll give that a few minutes to take light. As the stove is really acting like an open fire at this stage, it will light very, very quickly. Up in the throat plates on the top of the stove, there's a little regulator. It almost acts like a flue draft stabilizer on the top of it, so it will open and close and regulate depending on how much flue draft is present in the flue and the amount of air in the room. So you can see that we're getting a fire very, very quickly from a single fire lighter. We'll give it another couple of minutes and then we'll come back to it. One of the really nice features of an open fire is obviously you're getting to hear the sound of the flames, the crackling of the wood as it builds up temperature. The inside construction of the Stuv Compact 30, it doesn't have regular fire bricks. It's got a cast iron fire brick chamber with strategically placed air jet holes to really enable the combustion at the most efficient level. We can see this is only a couple of minutes into the light, and we've already got a beautiful fire, which is getting the temperature of the flue up nice and high. Once this sort of settles a little bit more, we'll rotate it and put it into the proper stove mode. Again, with the drum being able to rotate in this, what it kind of means is that in the lighting stage, the glass fronted part of the stove is in behind the chamber. So whenever the stove's at the lowest temperature, you've got the highest risk of smoke and dirt coming from the combustion process, creosote coming onto the glass. So we can see from this that the cast iron bricks, because they were cold, we just lit this stove, have attracted a little bit of creosote as a little bit of soot from the flue gases. The difference between smoke and flame is temperature. So at a low temperature, the combustion is quite dirty. At a high temperature, the combustion is clean. So what we want to try and do whenever we're lighting the stove is get up to the temperature before we bring the glass round. That way we're guaranteeing the glass will stay perfectly clean for the efficient burn. In the open fire mode, as we have it here, the main lever for controlling the operation of the stove is controlled at the bottom. In the open fire mode, this doesn't actually do anything. The fire is just drawing all of its air from the room. But we'll see this working in the stove mode. So I'm now going to put it into the next setting, which is the stove mode. To do that, we've a cover on the bottom here, which we can open up. We have a single operation tool that comes with the stove. This is used for rotating the drum around each of the settings, and also used then for opening and closing the door through the other end. But what we do is we set this in here. It's very easy to do. We just lift this out and the drum rotates round. So the next setting is the stove setting. And here we have the stove. So we're now going to be controlling the stove through the lever at the bottom. And just because again we are just in our pre-fire, I'm going to put it up to the highest setting. You can see here that there is a good controllability. I can drop that down, but we're going to just keep it burning just with a little bit of air coming through it. Again, just to try and get the temperature up as high as possible. We'll let that burn for a few minutes. So the pre-fire is burning very, very nicely here. We're getting the stove temperature up very, very well in the chamber of the stove. We can see the little jet holes at the back where the tertiary air is coming through. This is giving a third level of combustion within the fire chamber. We've got the stove just sitting just slightly above medium on the setting here. Really at this stage we can turn this down a little bit, and you can see the controllability just from turning that down and how it affects the flame. So we'll just set it to the sort of the second setting here roughly. And we'll let that burn for a few minutes, and then we'll do a refuel and put in our first main load of wood for the fire. The stove's been burning roughly about 15 minutes now, so the pre-fire's burnt down into nice embers, so I'm ready now to do my first main refuel. To do this, we will want to increase the temperature. When we last left it, we had it down quite low. So we'll want to increase the amount of air flowing through the stove, so I'm going to increase that now. The wood's very carbonated and is burnt down. We can see the embers are glowing nicely in red. There's still a little bit of flame on it, but the stove is now ready for a refuel. To open the stove, you have a control here, a control handle, which we just insert in here and turn clockwise. We can open this up, and that's us now ready to insert wood. I'm wearing mitts here as the temperature inside the firebox is very, very high. I'm just going to break down the embers into nice coals, and we'll set these up nicely in their upright position so we'll get nice long flames coming from. It's always a good idea to get yourself a very good pair of gauntlets to have the nicest flame pattern. It's nice to position the wood inside the fire chamber. So we close the door. You can see there's not a mark on the glass, and we close that and then turn it counterclockwise and give it a good tight turn. The fire, we put it to the maximum setting there, so you'll see very, very quickly the refuel taking place. Once it's caught, then we can lower the amount of air coming through and run into a much more efficient burn. The stove's been burning now in the stove mode with the glass front now for about 35 minutes. So we're going to lower the flames down. You can see that the wood's carbonated, so you can start to see the whiteness coming through on the wood. We can see that the cast iron fire bricks on the back of it have all started to clean up from the pre-fire. So we can really cut the air down. I mean, if we cut it down fully, we can see the controllability. You know, the air is just reduced greatly down. So at this mode, we're burning at the most efficient. The output of the stove has a range between 3 and 9 kilowatts. It's greater than 80% efficiency, so it has a nominal output of roughly about 6 kilowatts. Again, it's designed very much for low energy houses in mind, as well as more traditional houses. For the low energy houses, we can bring an external air feed directly into the stove, so in the operation of the stove, we don't need to draw air from the room. Obviously, whenever it's burning with the open fire mode, there would need to be ventilation requirements perhaps for that, depending on the age of the house. We can see now, just with the air cut really far down, we've just got enough flame there to keep it going. At this rate, we're going to have quite a prolonged burn. We'll just let it run for a few minutes like this, and then we'll show the third setting on the stove. Although we're in the stove, the glass fronted mode here, the glass is so very clear you would almost think that we are in the open fire mode. The last setting that I would like to show you is the overnight burn mode. Again, just opening the drawer at the bottom and using the little hand tool, we pull this out, spin the drum round, and we've got the overnight burn mode. In this mode, we've got the air closed down. You can control it still with the lever on the bottom, but it's really shutting the air down quite considerably. You can load it up with 4 or 5 pieces of wood and have it closed, and you'll comfortably get about a 12-hour burn time from it. Obviously, depending on flue pressures and every chimney is slightly different, there can be a tolerance with that. Behind this door here, there's another heat shield, which is sort of insulating the firebox, which gives it that long burn time. We still are getting convection air coming out. So it is a convector stove, even whenever it's in the overnight burn mode. And we've got this little slot of glass here that we can see through to see what condition the fire's in. So we've been burning it just for a short period here in the overnight burn mode. We will at the very end of this load it up and do an overnight, a true overnight burn where we'll take a timing and things like that, and we'll come and visit it again in the morning. So yeah, this is, to summarise, this is the Stuv Compact 30, a 3-in-1 stove, a truly unique stove. We absolutely love it. We're very excited about it in the stove yard. It can be used burning as an overnight burn mode. We can burn it as an open fire, and of course we can rotate the drum again and burn it as a regular glass fronted stove. I think just to end this part of the video, we'll put it in the overnight, or sorry, we'll put it in the open fire mode.